brain games, gaming with others, and we will have an audience participation section. We're going to play some games together. So during this time, I really encourage everybody to feel free to unmute, or if it's easier to type in the chat as well, just type in the chat, and hopefully we can get a little bit of participation from you guys and interact in some games together. So here are today's goals for this class. Understand the benefits of neuroplasticity, learn about brain games and activities that can keep the brain active and healthy, and view great brain games and their benefits as a means to stay connected with family and friends. So speaking on family and friends, here is that picture of my grandpa. This is my Oji-chan. This picture is a little small, sorry, or grainy because it was taken from a little bit far back, but this is my grandpa. He's a big part of my life. He's a big role model for me. And he is one of the main people who actually taught me how to play video games growing up. He still plays video games to this day. Um, that one of his favorites is this game. This is Dr. Mario. And this day, I think he sat there playing for about 10 hours straight. I remember intermittently throughout the day bringing him water, cut up fruit, a cup of coffee, and then we ended the night with an ice cream bar. So this is not what I encourage everybody to do. I don't want you to just play games for 10 hours straight. That's a crazy task. But it's to say a little bit of how unique and kind of crazy sometimes my family can be, but we are all different. So that's also my little disclaimer portion for today's class. My background is I do have a degree in biology with a concentration in human health. I love research. I focused on immunology and reading a lot of research, essentially. So today's class and the information I'm going to be presenting on is my own research that I've done independently and also through several different scientifically backed articles. There's some a little bit of differing opinions on this research, but only because certain aspects people do. I think it is agreed upon by a majority of the people that there are benefits to playing games and brain games. The differing opinions usually just come from how much one individual can benefit, since that's kind of harder to really gauge and measure. But hopefully, we all go into this with a very open mind as we discuss this class. So, moving on forward, I'll get started with the class. So, we're going to talk about neuroplasticity. What is this word that I keep mentioning and why is it important? So, neuroplasticity is the National Institute of Health defines it, neuroplasticity, as the process that involves adaptive structural and functional changes to the brain. It's defined as the ability of the nervous system to change its activity in response to intrinsic or extrinsic stimuli by reorganizing its structure, functions, or connections. What does that still mean? The shorter version is neuroplasticity is the brain's ability to take in new information and apply it accordingly. What this essentially means is your brain's ability to continue to grow. It's your brain's ability to create new bridges and pathways for information to take hold of in your brain so that you can continuously learn and increase your cognitive function. If any of you joined us for last week's class, you do know that an active and healthy brain is also a great increase in cognitive function. And neuroplasticity is one of the best ways to sort of measure that you do have an active and healthy brain, which in turn leads into that increase in cognitive functions. So moving on, how do we stimulate neuroplasticity, and how do we keep it engaged in our brains? So some common exercises are learning a new language. This can be a little bit difficult because we do know that learning a new language is difficult as we age, but it's not impossible. It's always possible to keep learning. Playing a musical instrument, the level of dexterity to play any sort of instrument or understanding how much pressure you need when playing like a wood instrument, and also just also understanding how to make certain sounds or beats and follow along with the music is ways to make sure your brain is active at all times. Of course, solving puzzles, doing any sort of recognition like that. Drawing or painting is also a great activity because, again, you need to be able to move your hands or paint, draw create art in whatever manner that your brain wants to, and make sure your hands or something can follow suit. And of course, there's also brain games that we'll be talking about today. Another exercise too that's maybe a little bit harder even than learning a new language is actually learning to become ambidextrous. So using your non-dominant hand is another great activity. And one of the main ways that people do this is through learning to juggle, actually. But if you're anything like me, every time you try to learn how to juggle, you end up with hitting your head. So let's just focus on brain games for today. So looking back at brain games, a quick question for everybody is, does anybody, I saw a good amount of response from people that you guys are trying to play brain games, whether it's word games or I saw some people also say Sudoku in their registration answers. So does anybody want to speak about any brain games that they do try to play, whether it's daily, once a week, or as often as possible? Feel free to, unmute and just chat out an answer or type it in the chat.
We play Scattergories. We used to play once a month via Zoom
Hmm. Yeah,
as
thanks,
team.
Remy. Thanks, Remy. Yeah, that's a great game. It's another one of those word games, word pattern recognition games. I myself have gotten some of our staff actually to start playing some new brain games that we'll speak about a little bit. So hopefully some that you're familiar with, and even more hopeful, some that you don't know, so you can start playing them. So I see something in the chat. Let's see. Spelling Bee on New York Times. Yes, very engaging. The Daily Wordle. Love to hear about that. We'll speak a little bit about that more, George. So great. Thank you. All right, let's talk about brain games. So, an important question, when is a game, and when is it a brain game? So, again, a little bit of differing opinions, but I looked at separate definitions from Harvard, Cambridge, and the National Institute for Health, and I came up with this definition of a brain game is specifically designed to challenge and exercise your cognitive abilities, focusing on mental skills like memory, logic, problem solving, and critical thinking. Whereas a game, it can refer to any interactive activity with entertainment value, which may or may not include elements of cognitive challenge, depending on the genre. So what this means, I like to use the example that, any square every square is a rectangle, but not every rectangle is a square. So a brain game will almost always be a brain game and a game as well. But not every game can necessarily be a brain game, depending on its level of cognitive challenge or, just different elements of it. But it's also all about perspective and what you look into the game. So circling back to that, we're going to look at some New York Times games. So maybe you're familiar with Wordle, Connections, Strands, mini crossword. There's also Spelling Bee, as George mentioned, Letterbox, Tiles, and Sudoku. Um, Maybe you've heard some of these. Maybe you're familiar with this image of Wordle. You've seen this sort of word puzzle. For those who don't, Wordle is actually a very popular game with the New York Times. It's basically a game where you try to figure out what the daily five-letter word is. So you type in just a random five-letter word, and the colors will represent a different part of the game. So if the color of the letter comes blacked out, that means that letter is not in the word. If it's yellow, it means that letter is in the word, but it's not in the right position. And if it's green, that means that's the right letter and it's in the right position. So Wordle has actually become more popular than the Daily Crossword. This has actually become the New York Times' most popular game right now. And a fun little fact I like to speak about is that this game was created by one man, actually. His name was Josh Wardle, and it was just a plain his last name, Wardle to Wordle. And he created it for his wife. They both loved playing puzzle games and doing the New York Times games like these ones, except for Wordle. And when they ran out of games to play together, he thought that he should make a game that he can play with her and challenge their brains together. So this game started off with one player. They really liked it. They released it to the public. In a week, it had over 50 players, and within a month, it had over 40,000 players worldwide. Now, daily, there's about 3 million people who play it. Check the chat real quick. Oh, yeah. Nice. But yeah, there's over 3 million daily players who play Wordle to this day now. And I have recently started to get, if you guys know Kent, I've got him to start playing it daily, and he will always say, "Oh, I think I'm close to the word." So yeah, it's a great word game. These are great games to get started on, and there are daily games that you can just kind of keep playing and trying out. So these games you might be more familiar with. So let's look at some games hopefully you aren't familiar with. So, I'm gonna go ahead. So there's also a website called the Human Benchmark. This might be, I think, a little more niche. So they have games called Chimpanzee Test, Sequence Memory, Typing, Verbal Memory, Reaction Time, Visual Memory, Number Memory, and Aim Trainer. These names are pretty straightforward, but maybe you're wondering, what is the chimpanzee test or the chimp test? So it's actually a game that's based on a study that was done by the University of Kyoto's Primate Research Institute. And it begged the question, are you smarter than a chimp? So if you look at this image, there's this image of this chimp who is shown a monitor. And on this screen are increasing numbers. It also looks like this a little bit. There's another image. And the whole point was, as soon as you click on the starting number of 1, the numbers will disappear. And you have to remember their position and press on them in increasing order. On average, 90% of the time, chimps were able to remember up to 9 numbers. And the average for humans is anywhere between 7 to 10. So on average, typically, some people were not smarter than chimps, actually. Chimps could actually outperform a lot of humans. And this is a great, these are all great games to really test your memory as well as reaction time. So just, how fast are you able to react? Typing is a great skill because it requires a lot of hand-eye coordination and dexterity. Same with Aim Trainer. This is more of like a game that was used actually by video game players to test their aim in like shooting games, but the level of dexterity and hand-eye coordination used to actually be able to move around your mouse as you want and follow it has been shown to increase a lot of cognitive functions. Moving on to some games hopefully you guys are also more familiar with, board games and card games. So hopefully you guys have heard some of these. We have, classical games that are seen as more educational games like chess, Go, Gomoku, even Mahjong. There's also card games like Hanafuda, Poker, Egyptian, Big Three. Hopefully you are familiar with, chessboard. These are Mahjong tiles. And the good thing to think about for board and card games is they're really great as educational tools, especially, but well, I guess considering what kind of game you're playing. So I like to say that, or one way to describe them is learning and evolving games, which are these games like chess, Go, Mahjong, poker even. These are learning or evolved games or evolving games because as you're playing them, you're constantly learning and the game is constantly changing and evolving. There's uh, not infinitesimal, but a huge number of different iterations of moves, possible choices that are be able to make versus solved or completed games. So a solved or completed game, the best example that I can give is tic-tac-toe. So if you think about tic-tac-toe, it's a solve game because there is a most optimal strategy. If two players know the exact rules of tic-tac-toe and know both the same strategy, which is usually preferable to the first player, if they were to play the exact same way 100 times, no matter what, they should always get a draw. It should be the exact same moves every single time. The game is completed. It's solved. There's no better strategy to create or find. A board game that's like this is called Nine Men's Morris. It's a game I used to play a lot, but it's also a completed game. It's kind of like tic-tac-toe on a bigger field. But the set amount of moves means that there's a best strategy every single time. And that's not always the case for these games suggested here. So thinking about that next time you play some games, uh, you can usually try to make the argument that playing mahjong or poker with friends is actually an educational way to keep learning and keeping your brain active. So let's also talk about video games, something that maybe most people don't consider as brain games or educational. These are mainly puzzle and also educational games. So when you think about video games, we have classics like Tetris, a very classic puzzle pattern game. There's also a game called Professor Layton, Nintendo Labo, Wordscapes. Maybe some people have seen that on their apps on their phones. There's also Brain Age, Big Brain Academy, a game called Portal, and even Math Blaster. Um, Now, educational video games have actually been around for a while. The first educational video game actually came out in 1968 with the creation of a game called The Sumerian. A teacher created this game with their students in mind to help them learn about resource allocation, resource management, and teamwork. And then the 90s came around, and Math Blaster actually became a very popular uh, educational game. This math game was used widely by a lot of teachers to help get their students engaged, involved, and interested in playing games to learn math. Now, there's also this strange contraption that's called Nintendo Labo. This is one of the more recent projects from Nintendo, and it really tried to make games as hands-on and as much of a learning experience as they could for, players of all ages. I think it was geared a little bit towards younger generation to get them started on the educational aspect, but it was actually so Nintendo, you could buy this game that came with a cardboard puzzle essentially, and you could create different iterations. There's this one that looks like a keyboard. There's other ones as well, and the children or the players, whoever bought it, would have to build this puzzle. And this one actually worked as a working miniature keyboard, as you can see there. And there's different iterations of that all the time. Yeah. So moving on. So we're also going to talk about playing games with others and gaming with others. So quick question for the audience. Does anyone regularly play any games? And this can be any sort of game. It doesn't have to be educational brain games. Do you guys just anyone enjoy regularly playing some games? And it's totally okay if nobody does.
We play gin.
Jin Rami, yeah, great,
Mhm.
great card game. Anyone else?
Looks like George or Taka. And Taka, you may get a prompt to unmute.
Well, wait, I think you're still muted, Taka. I don't think it's going through. Yes. Well, we figured that out. Sue, go ahead.
Our group plays variations of bingo
Nice. Yeah.
several times a year as a
That's
group.
great. That's great. Does anybody play what about video games? Any video game players? Maybe not. Yeah. I think it's good that there's maybe not too many people who play video games. Because I wanted to say, is there any reason why people don't play video games? Hmm, I'm gonna move on ahead a little quick. Maybe maybe you might have heard something like I'm too old to play video games. Or maybe if you've heard I've never played video games before, or maybe this is what you're thinking as well. Video games have become too complicated. There are no games for me, or even I don't think I'll be very good at games. I think this is often a thought or something that we've heard from either community members or from people themselves who think that maybe there's a barrier to like playing video games. Maybe if you weren't introduced to it at a young age, you just don't think it's for you. You'll never get the hang of it, or there's just too much going on. Well, I just want to introduce you guys to a very group of cool people. These are the Matagi Snipers. So this is actually a group of professional video game players. They're esports athletes in the Akita Prefecture of Japan. And these are all older adults on a professional video game playing team. And the only requirement, well, one of the requirements of the teams is that you have to be at least 65 years of age or older. And these guys are truly professionals. They have sponsorships, they play in tournaments, and they are so much more skilled at playing this type of video game than I will ever be. And I fully agree and understand that. And the craziest part is you might be thinking maybe these guys have been playing video games their whole life, or maybe they grew up, differently, or just were more have had more access to it. A lot of these players, actually, a majority of the players on the team had never touched video games before in their life. Their youngest player is, or their youngest member is their coach who, worked with them to get them to play these video games at a professional level. Um, and a lot of members joined for different reasons, but one of the main reasons that they all joined was because they saw the cognitive benefits that came from being able to have these skills. Something that could keep their brains active, even if they can't keep as active as they used to be before, or just to make sure that they can stay cognizant, keep going. There's a lot of things going on. So they actually play a first-person shooter game. So they're constantly moving around, aiming and shooting at their enemies essentially. Other reasons that other members joined was, I believe one member said, I wanted to experience something new. Some other members said, I want to be able to think that I want my children and my grandchildren to think that I'm cool. Not to say that just because you play video games, you're cool, but I thought it was very sweet to see that there were different reasons that all these people play and took up this new hobby or skill at, you know, any age range. I believe one of the oldest members on this team in particular is 77, maybe older. But yeah, it's just to goes to show that you can start anywhere, anytime, so long as you are able to find what works for you or what encourages you, what gets you engaged. So, talking about that, are there benefits of playing games with others? Like, does it matter that they're playing a team sport or even with you all, like with your community members in your community spaces? Are there benefits when gaming with others? Does it keep you more connected than anything else? Does it matter if you're, playing at a professional, competitive uh, level or skill area? I think gaming with others, there's a lot of statistics, but just to go over some of these are hard statistics, these are facts. So in 2023, there were over 3.2 billion gamers worldwide. Obviously, this number had sparked a lot and really boomed during the pandemic. But just going over the numbers, 190 million were from the US alone, and 30% of this, so approximately 57 million, were all over the age of 50. Of this number, so of those 57 million, about half, 50%, were all playing 29 million social gamers. So that means they were playing games that were mainly based for socializing, whether it is playing a game to keep in contact with someone, playing, like the same game just so they can keep talking or doing activities together. There's truly been such a change in like the gaming world that there's usually a game out there for most everybody. I think it's fully understandable that, games are not for everybody. If it's not your thing, it's not your thing. But there have been huge advancements and changes that, hopefully you can always find something for yourself. And then the last thing I want to point out is ikigai, or your purpose, and intentionality. So not to throw away like a lot of what I was saying before of like, there have to be these cognitive elements, but as with the Matagi snipers and other things, I play video games also like to a very competitive level to the point where I won awards. I've won scholarships when I was in college. And my family as well have like placed in pretty big tournaments. At a certain point in one game, I was in the top 0.01% of like players in the world. Um, and that's just to say that I think it's also about, finding your own purpose and intentionality behind why you're playing. So I think some of the games that I do play, by no means would they be counted as brain games. But depending on your intentionality while you're playing the game, like I will play as well as the Mataki snipers, I'm sure, play with the intentionality of getting better, to be better, to learn, and to grow from playing. And I think there are certain aspects that they're definitely probably developing a lot of skills with that in mind. So even when I play, like a fighting game that seems like senseless violence, I'm learning a lot about dexterity. My reaction time is increasing. My spatial memory of understanding spaces and having to memorize, a combination of over like 150 different possible moves at a time. I think your intentionality of why you're doing this always matters. So if you want to play a video game just to play it, I think there's always a way to make it seem like there can be some sort of educational or skill to be gained from it. So, with that in mind, I will invite everybody to join me for this game time. I have two games I'd like to try out with everybody. So, hopefully, again, feel free to unmute and feel free to, or type in the chat if that's easier. So, this first game, I don't know if anybody has played it today, but I'm gonna play today's Wordle with you all. So I'm gonna go ahead and change to Wordle. So again, for those of you who don't know, Wordle is a word game, and basically you have 6 chances to guess a 5-letter word. So I'm gonna click play. This is the New York Times, so you can see it'll tell you how to play, and you can create or log into an account. You also don't need an account to play. You can play for free. So here, I want to make sure. Can everybody see my screen easily? Can
Yeah.
you see like the letters?
Yeah.
Great. Okay. So we have these 6 tries to find a 5-letter word. So does anybody want to just give me a 5-letter word to start out with, and we can see, where we go from there?
I'll give you
Audio.
my one one.
Oh, sorry. George, what'd you start with?
Well, I use the same word every time to start. The word is STEAM, STEAM.
STEAM. All right. So we'll start out with this letter or with this word. All right. So what this means is, so it doesn't have an S, a T, an A, or an M, but it does have an E, but it's not in the middle. Sue, I think you were gonna say a word also.
Oh, no, no.
No? Okay. Well, anyone, Sue or Rumi or anyone else, feel free to give us a second word that maybe we'll try to guess some more letters, see if maybe we can find another place for that E in the word somewhere.
How about root?
Root.
Oh,
all
the
right.
T. I'm sorry. I meant I'm.
No worries, no worries. We can try root too. It'll be a different.
Well, I'm wasting that T. That
Wasting the
know-
T, yeah.
Yeah.
It's true. There's different ways to play the game.
It
There
should have
is
an E.
yeah.
It should have an E, not in the middle place, and
Yeah.
4 different letters.
Yeah.
By the way, twice in the last year, I got very lucky, and the first word I guessed was it.
Very
Oh, wow.
nice. Very
That's no
nice.
fun, but
That's very true. But it does add to your little stats at the end. So
Yeah.
maybe that always feels good.
Hmm.
Rhyme.
Rhyme. Rhyme.
I got the M.
Oh,
Nope.
you wasted the M.
you wasted the M.
Oh, take it off. Take it
Okay,
off.
we'll take it off.
Mm.
See, I like this. This group is all about efficiency. Yeah. I do believe there's 5 words that will use up 25 letters of the alphabet, so you'll always have, the most use out of the word all your chances. But I think that's also kind of it feels a little bit like it's cheating. It's not cheating, but it always feels like, there's less pressure that way. So yeah.
Oh, no, A. Oh.
Mm.
This is why I don't play Wordle.
And that's totally fine. That's totally fine.
How about ripen? RIPEN.
Right, Ben? Yeah. Okay. Okay. So nothing there either. That's fine.
So we know where the E is in the first third of the 5th position.
Yeah.
So this is where you got to use your brain. What word has those characteristics?
Yeah. If it helps, I haven't done this yet, but I'll put this word out. Hole. That one also seems like it might work.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. All right. Well, okay. So the E is at the N. There's an O and there's an L, and we know that it doesn't have a W or an H. So working with that. Any other guesses?
I know the word.
Oh, yeah.
I did it already today.
Okay. Taka's keeping quiet. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. You know, so she already knows. Thank you. Thank you. Keeping us on our toes. Is this?
So,
I haven't done it. Is this something that you put on your hand?
No.
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 Oh, okay. Well, my guess was glove, so I guess it's not that.
oh, okay.
It can't be glove because O is in the middle position.
You're right. You're right. Yeah,
Mhm.
I didn't think about that.
Olive,
Olive?
That's a good word,
Oh, there's
Yeah.
an I.
except the
Oh.
L,
Oh, the
There's an
I.
I.
Yeah,
that's
And-
right.
yeah.
Shoot.
the I.
Oh,
that was a good guess though. That was a good guess.
L. Let's see, E at the end.
Globe, GLOBE.
Oh,
Oh, but that's the O. Same
Oh,
position.
sorry.
Yeah.
with an L. L,
Any hints? Any
No,
ideas?
no,
Yeah. Also, something else to consider while you guys go ahead and keep thinking about the word. But there are ways to make this more challenging. There's actually a setting to put this into hard mode. And hard mode basically means that you can only use, if you guess letters like with the E, you can only then guess words that have those same letters. So you can't just kind of like, choose a whole different word that has no hints just to kind of use up letters. So that's another way to think about it too.
L, O.
Brenda, do you have a screen that we're supposed to be able to see the word that you or the
E,
where is it? I
Oh.
don't see a screen that
Oh,
has the wordle anyway.
I see.
Or the picture of your
Go to speaker view.
what?
Go to speaker view. Are you in gallery view?
Yeah.
Go
Yeah.
to speaker view.
Speaker view.
Are you on an iPad, Taka?
Yeah.
If you, I
Go-
think if you
yeah.
swipe to the right or to the left, you should be able to see the screen. Does that work?
No, well, I'm probably doing it wrong. I don't know.
Oh,
Whiteboards? No? Notes?
Mm,
Nothing like that?
P,
Mm,
E, L,
Well, anyway, I don't see your
Uh,
screen, whatever.
oh, sorry about that.
O,
Mm.
P, L, P, Q,
Paco must think we're very slow.
I'm
About slope,
Slope,
slope.
I
There's a
believe.
Same
P.
thing.
Oh,
Yeah, there's a P and the O also. for that
Ah.
one.
Oh, yeah. T, T,
Yeah, the O's in the second, right?
Mm.
Yeah, being a teacher, you think of blends and all these.
how
figure-
about, oh, no, I take it back.
L, 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 oh, can't be in the third. Oh, sorry. L, O.
This is why I like bingo better.
More engaging.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Maybe fold.
I remember the Pasadena Nikkei seniors, we have a monthly bingo luncheon.
Mhm,
We get over 100 people every month.
I bet.
Ooh.
They come in their wheelchairs and
O, L.
Maybe
Oh,
Brenda.
yes,
Oh.
chess.
Is that a learning game though? Bingo? That seems like it's just all luck.
Lodge. Oh, okay.
Well, I guess you have to.
Well,
I'll try
there's-
some of these.
you
There's like
play
10
with
different-
different, yeah, you
have to
you have different
play.
configurations,
Yeah, there's like, we don't play regular bingo. We play variations of bingo.
right? Different configurations.
Yeah.
People get
So-
very confused.
I see there's this guess for
That's
Lodge
a
in the
good
chat.
guess.
Yeah.
A good guess.
That's a good guess.
Oh, that's
Oh,
Oh,
good,
All
yeah.
right. Thank you, Grace. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, we got that. So that one took a little bit longer, but you can see that, I think there's always great uses of it's good to work with a team, I think, in that sense, because you can kind of check each other in that sense.
hey, Brendan, can you show the stats?
Oh, I don't have the login for this
You don't have to
one.
log in for the stats.
No, sorry. But you can start tracking your stats and streaks. Yeah, I don't have the stats right now. Sorry. Can't compare stats. But there's also, there's a great number of other games. There's Spelling Bee, Crossword, Many, Strands, Connections. But going on, so the next thing I wanted to show you guys is, so this is the human benchmark. This is the other one I was telling you about. Maybe this is a little bit less familiar for you guys. So this is what the landing page will look like. This is the human benchmark. And these are the games that we can play. So I want to try out the Chimp Test. This is probably the most popular game for this website.
This is so embarrassing.
It's great. It's a learning process, so it's okay. So are you smarter than chimpanzee? So click the squares in order according to their numbers, and the test will get progressively harder. So what I would like to try with everybody here today is we'll do a few together as a group. So, we'll start off with the first one and go on, and we'll try to work together. And if anybody feels confident enough by the time we get to a comfortable space, maybe we'll see if somebody wants to try out on their own. And I think that'll be a real test of, one's memory skills. So if you will, indulge me, let's go ahead. We're going to try this out. So I'll click Start Test here. So, looks pretty simple. We're going to start out with 4 boxes. And as you can see, they're numbered. So for the first one, it's truly a learning experience. So you just kind of go and you go 1, and then, you can still see the other numbers. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. All right. So now it's going to increase in difficulty. There's going to be 5 boxes here. And as soon as I click this 1, these numbers will disappear. So, because we also do have a time limit for today's class, I don't want to make it too easy. What I did with my team when I test ran this is I counted to 3 Mississippis, so not that much time. And I'm going to click 1 and we're going to get started. And then I'm going to I'll have you guys tell me where the next numbers are. So while I give you that introduction, I'm going to giving you a little bit more time to look at the screen. And so I'm going to say 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 and I'll click 1. Okay, so anybody want to tell me where the 2 is?
Top
Upper
left,
left.
Top left.
Upper
Okay. Where's the 3?
in the middle bottom.
Nope.
Middle bottom.
Oh,
Right
the
button.
3? I
3.
thought you go in order. 1, 2, oh, 3. 1, 1, 2, 1,
The
2,
right one,
3, 4. Yeah,
This one. Yeah. 4.
the lower one.
Lower.
This one. Yeah. And then this will be 5. Yeah.
oh,
Great.
I
All
see,
right.
okay.
Great. All right. We got it. Okay. So I'm going to do the same thing with this next level. Again, going to be more numbers, a little bit more tricky. So, okay.
Oh.
So here's the position. I'm going to count 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi. I'm going to click 1. Okay. Who wants to tell me where 2 is?
Bottom middle,
Bottom middle. Okay. Number 3,
left top,
left top. This one?
Yeah.
Yeah. 4,
next, left,
left.
Bottom.
Okay. And which one's 5?
top,
On top? Oh, George
Oh.
says no. Which one is 5? Sorry, top or bottom?
top.
We'll flip a coin.
I thought it was top.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll check with Sue. Top. Oh, it was
Top.
not. Okay. That's good. We have 3 tries, so we'll try one more time. Okay. So I'll give you a little bit more time here, 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi. All right, I'm going to start now. So I'll click 1. Okay. Someone want to tell me 2?
Upper right.
Upper right. Okay. 3.
Lower right.
Lower right. Yeah, right here. And then 4.
Upper left.
Upper left,
Upper left here.
right,
Okay, 5.
lower
Lower
right.
left.
Lower left here.
Mhm.
Okay, great. And then there's 6. All right. All right,
Very
we
good.
got it. Yeah, we got it.
Yay.
All right, so we'll try one more altogether. This will be, 7, a little bit more difficult. I'll give a little bit more time too,
Yeah.
so kind of get you guys let it really sink in. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi. Okay, so I'll start here. 1. Okay, 2, anybody?
Right below,
Right,
Right below. Great. Okay, and 3,
left.
left
Left.
side,
4,
uh,
Uh,
bottom row, right.
third, yeah,
here.
yes.
Okay, 5.
And then left
Left,
bottom.
This one.
Yeah.
nope,
Oh, this
No?
one?
that one.
This one. Okay, George says this one.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Nice. Next.
Bottom.
Bottom. All right. Great. All right. We got 7. All right.
Oh,
Hey,
Great. Okay. So
I'm tired.
I did choose. I got 1 up all the way to 9. So does anybody want to try to take on 9 numbers by themselves? This is the average for a chimp.
That's embarrassing.
How did-
It's difficult. I will say, I think as a team, like as the programs team, we got to 9. I don't know that we passed. Or yeah, we got one member who did pass 9. So it's embarrassing, but it's also a great way to show that like you can always keep learning, always keep improving. So does anybody feel up to the challenge? If not, it's okay. We don't have to. But if anyone feels inclined to try, we can.
Oh,
good visual memory.
It's great. Yeah, great visual memory. Yes.
I volunteer for George.
I think Grace should do it.
Okay. Grace,
Grace, yeah,
Grace?
she
Yeah.
got Lodge.
Yeah, that's true. Grace, are you feeling up to it? You can just, in the chat if it's easier or anybody.
What I want to know is who trained the chimpanzee to do this?
Yeah, so from my research looking at it, it's, they have a really good understanding of, they could understand numbers very easily, just as
Hmm.
they can with, with like digits. So the understanding of numbers became very easy for them. And eventually they, just with any test, they were motivated through, I believe it was through food. And so, yeah, that saying of, you put monkeys with typewriters in a room and eventually they'll write Shakespeare. They eventually understood that, if you do the correct order, they get a prize. And, it turned out that they were highly motivated. They could get to 9 pretty easily.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
Between chimpanzees and artificial intelligence, who needs us?
yeah. But, we can prove them wrong right now if anyone else will try for 9. If not, that's totally okay. Yeah. This is something I do in my pastime. I try to not all the time, but whenever I think I need like a mental reset, I will actually play this game, and I think my average is usually about 13.
Whoa.
And I try to make it a little bit more of a challenge for myself. I have pretty good visual memory, but like for like a quick second. So I try to look at it for as little as possible. So if I'll do a quick example, so I'll do this one, and so I'll just start, like that.
Oh,
What?
Oh my gosh.
What?
I haven't even seen them. I can't even see it.
Yeah, and so I got to 9.
Pretty good.
Yeah, it's not too hard, right?
For
So
you.
that's to show you a little
For
bit how
you.
my brain, yeah, that's just showing you a little bit how my brain works. Everybody's different, and I truly, truly, truly believe that anybody can get to this level. Maybe not the way I do it, because my brain just works differently, but that's how I do patterns and recognize, patterns. This game got really popular with people online, a lot of online like streamers, influencers. They did this to kind of keep their brains active, as well as believe it or not, chess masters a lot of chess masters. So I believe this game, if we look at the stats, the average or like the average only scales up to 24 points. So
24.
that's the end. On average, chess masters, because of how much information they can retain and really think ahead, and a lot of them will use the boxes as chess moves to memorize the next steps. I've seen a chess master beat the game at I think like 45. They remember able to remember 45 different positions. It's very impressive to watch, but don't you don't have to do it how I did it, but feel free to try and test it out and see if you can get to that 9 easier or not. The great part is you have those 3 tries, so you can, if you don't make it the first time, maybe get it the second time or the third time. And feel free to, check out all these other games. They have a lot of great resources or a lot of great aspects to them. Reaction, sequence, aim trainer, verbal memory, visual memory, number memory, typing, what have you.
Brendan, is
Yes.
it possible if you wanted to do it as a group activity to somehow hook your computer up to a projector so you can project it on a screen or something? Is that possible?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. We can do essentially what I'm doing right now, just in person with on one computer or a laptop. Yeah.
Hmm.
So this is what I wanted to show, the community members. Hopefully, if you have any people who might seem interested, this is something to get started, and you can do it at the community centers, hook up to a presenter and try it out. Try out and see what works better. Some people work better if the group mentality, and some people work better individually, and just see, you can do that too, then compare your scores like with the stats here and see where you average up. So this statistic is actually based on the general population who play it. So it's not just based on region. Everybody, so this whole population is based on the average of whoever's played it, throughout the world. So, see where you stack up. My average of 13 stacks up like right here. So pretty, on the other end. But yeah, I have no doubts that everybody can reach, some point in that area.
Brendan?
Yes.
Can you recommend a one-person shooter video game?
Oh yeah. There's so the one that the Watagi snipers play, I'll look it up for you right now. It's actually called Valorant. This game, this is the game that most professionals are playing right now. It's a first-person shooter game. I would say that even for me, this is a quite difficult shooter game. I play a lot of video games, and I know that I'm like really, really bad at this one. But maybe that's more reason to play it. It's that more, level of skill that's needed to play it. Um, but yeah, there's a bunch of great games. So there's this one called Valorant. There's also Call of Duty. You might have heard of that one as well. These are the more popular games. But yeah, I'm happy to, give any recommendations or any suggestions as needed.
People still playing Minecraft?
Yeah, actually, I know a lot of people who still play Minecraft, including like I still play it from time to time with friends as well. Yeah, there's a bunch of great games out there. But okay, so I don't want to take up too much more of your guys' time, so I'll get back to this presentation real quick, and we can talk about games a little bit afterwards as well. So in conclusion, thank you everybody for, joining in on me, and maybe you got to play a little new game and maybe you liked it, maybe you didn't. That's totally fine. But so in conclusion, benefits of games are as follows. I do believe there's a great amount of stimulation of neuroplasticity. Again, that's that creating new neural pathways, new bridges, new connections for your brain to continuously grow, which is actually called neurogenesis. It's a concept that was widely believed up until the 80s that your brain doesn't continue to grow, but it was proven that your brain does continue to grow. It's just that stimulation of neurogenesis rapidly declines as you age and as you use less functions. But if you keep stimulating neuroplasticity in your brain, you'll keep having that active and healthy brain, and you can continue to keep learning and growing. If you play it with friends or family, or even like this in a group setting with community members, I do believe it's a great tool for socialization. You can continue to play games that encourage teamwork, encourage playing with groups of people, encourage communication. There's a lot of great games that you have to speak, like, different aspects here to like your players, your other friends, to keep them engaged and keep, like, maybe it's a puzzle game. And above all else, I do also think intentionality really matters. I do think, a lot of people maybe they're still confused when they hear professional video game players or professional athletes that are video game players. But, esports and the world of gaming is changing a lot as we know it. And I do think there's a lot of great aspects to playing video games and a lot of great ways to continue learning, no matter what you play or how you play. So here is my works cited. There's a lot of research I did through various journals. But yeah, any questions from anybody? I don't
Is-
want to take it.
Oh, interesting.
Is this recording available to us?
Yes, this class is recorded, and we will be sending out the recording to all registrants after the class.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. And again, feel free, if you guys have any questions on video games, or if you want any suggestions from me of my own personal choice of video games, or other games that you can try out, I would be more than happy to let you guys know. Feel free to email me or reach out to us here at Cato, and I'll do my best to respond. So here is our call to action for you all. So hopefully after today's class, you can look at games a bit differently. Feel free to use the resource to try out some of the games mentioned today. The resource that was sent in the emails you should have hopefully all received. There's a link to the resource that has the games shown today, different ones you can try out. And again, if you want to try any other games, please feel free to reach out to me. And hopefully you can try out a new game and reach out to us if you need any suggestions.
Brandon,
Thank you, everybody.
Very good.
Yes.
is it possible to get directions on how to show these games up on a screen for a group?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
On the resource too, it shows how to, access each game. So yeah, we can definitely work with you guys and make it happen, make it work
Thank
out.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So real quick, I'll just do our closeout slides. I do want to thank our wonderful donors for today's class. You guys, your continued support, and everybody here who joined. Thank you so much for joining. You guys are the reason that we are able to keep putting on these classes, and hopefully you guys enjoyed it, learned something new. Continue to join us. And as you continue to join us, please think about these March classes. So in March, we have Heritage Meets Healthy Eating with Christine Yada. That'll be March 6th. This will be a earlier class. This is 10:30 to 11:30 a.m. We also have our Caregiver Conference Insights and Takeaways. This is going to be March 27th. So hopefully you guys can join us for our Caregiver Conference, March 15th at the East San Gabriel Valley Japanese Community Center. It'll be a Saturday. And if you can't, hopefully you'll be able to join us for the next one, which is going to be in the South Bay in October. But we also have this class that will be, the main takeaways from the conference. We will also be having this. Oh, do you guys need more time on this? Sorry. No? Okay.
Oh, it's okay.
Okay. We will also be having this other collaborative event. This will be at the Orange County Buddhist Church at OCBC. This will be Saturday, April 19th. This will be from 12 to 1:30. It'll be both in person and a virtual class. If you'd like to join us, the title is Before It's Too Late, discussing advanced planning. So Cato and Little Tokyo Service Center is changing tides. We're going to present a panel discussion on the stressors that come with end-of-life decisions and how advanced planning can help alleviate some of that stress. So this class, this event is, this is open for all ages. Please, if you can make it, feel free to come with your friends and your families. We want our families to be there to really hear about the important topics that we want to discuss before it's too late, Video games. I'll reference that too. But yeah, feel free to register for this event at keto.org/BITL 2025. And of course, we also did have let me close this, sorry. So you might have heard that our next steps have been on the boarding care. So in June 2024, we did do a survey. talking about Cato's next step towards the board and carrot journey. So we are pleased to share that the first property has been purchased in the South Bay. And maybe you might have seen that if anybody gets the online publications, you might have already seen this. But yeah, for more info and frequently asked questions, please feel free to check out cato.org/survey to learn more about this. Okay. And lastly, again, I just want to do a huge thank you to everybody who joined. I'm so glad you guys were able to join us. And if you want to continue to support us, please feel free to join us for all of our other classes. Feel free to bring along any friends